I am tearing up.
I just about screamed right now, and I'm not even there.
Now that's inspirational, Natalie. I feel inspired today.
Part two of this.
I could be here for another hour.
And then I was talking to my class. There were only 2 of us, and the other guy was in the hospital. So here I am.
And I always go, he winds up homeless on the street. It's my fault.
Yeah, now you sound like my wife.
And you can get off.
I don't know. Call it Google. Or call it Google.
Yeah. Control. Alexa, how does he get across?
Paul, I cut you off earlier. What were you going to say?
What?
Dang it! Don't do that to me, Paul. Don't do that to me, man.
I don't know what got into my head, but I thought this thought, if I'm working year round, I might as well get paid year round.
Sweet Talk is a weekly 20-minute podcast brought to you by the Continuing Education and Workforce Training Division of Idaho State University's College of Technology. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud, and subscribe today. Now, it's time to get started with Sweet Talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sweet Talk, our weekly podcast for continuing education workforce training at Idaho State University. I am Paul Dickey, Video Instruction Manager, and I'm here with my co-host, Gary Salazar, our director. How are you doing today, Gary?
Man, Paul, I'm doing great. You do awesome with that intro every time. Pretty soon you're going to be worldwide wrestling or something. I like how you do that.
I've only been doing this for 3 years now, Gary, and I finally can kind of figure this out. And I don't know if you heard it, but I'm starting to develop a radio voice.
Yes, you are. Well, thanks for the intro. I appreciate that. And we're going to have a really good podcast today. We got a couple guests on with us. These folks are from Morton Buildings, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to talk with them because the Morton Buildings is coming out here towards our southeastern Idaho airport near Pocatello. And today we're going to have Kevin Young, who is our Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, I believe, for Morton Buildings. And he's coming to us today from Illinois. And then also joining us is Steve Aubin. Steve is the Regional Sales Manager, and today he's in Texas, Austin, Texas. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you both for joining us today. I'm looking forward to our conversation. If it's all right with the two of you, maybe we could start with a little bit of introduction from each of you. Kevin, could I ask you to maybe say some words about your background?
Yeah, my background is I've been with the company now for right around 10 years. I'm responsible for the manufacturing of the building at the specific locations. Pocatello will be our 8th manufacturing facility. And what we do in those plants is we will actually put the components together and then ship those components to the job site where the crews and the field operations will then erect the building itself. So my background is in the engineering area. And what we do is we do a lot of work when it comes to procurement, designing the buildings here at the corporate office. And then we actually roll out those drawings to the plants, the bill of materials, and the plants then will put everything together and make, like I said, the components that we'll ship on our own dedicated fleet that goes to the actual job site itself.
Wow, thank you, Kevin. And Steve Aubin, would you please give us a few words on you and your background?
Certainly, this is Steve Aubin. I'm the Western Regional Manager for Morton Buildings. I've been with the company coming up on about 6 years now. Ironically, I did grow up in the Seattle area, so I'm very familiar with the Northwest. I'm a extensive outdoor enthusiast, and I don't think there's a better place to be in the country than the Northwest. With its moderate temperatures, I think it's a great place to live and work. We are very excited about the Western expansion that's going to happen and the exciting growth opportunity for Morton Buildings with the plant being built in Pocatello, Idaho.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for great intros, good background. For our audience out there, Morton Buildings has appeared in the local newspaper. We know you're coming this way, but there may be people in our audience who has not heard of Morton Buildings and what you do. Kevin, you gave a little bit of a prelude to that. but could we get maybe a little bit of background on what is Morton Buildings? Where did you start and where that is going? Obviously coming to Pocatello in manufacturing, but you said you're in Illinois, Kevin, Morton, Illinois, and that is the headquarters of where Morton Buildings started. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Awesome.
And so just to give you a bit of a background, and Steve can add to it as well, but we started in 1903 as the interlocking fence company. And through time, we actually transitioned over to Morton Buildings in 1964. And at that point, with the realization by our previous president, Henry Getz, was one that when you look at the agricultural area, they need to have large storage facilities for their expensive equipment. And that was kind of the genesis of the whole process. And he kept adding to it, and to the point where in 64, he changed the name to Morton Buildings. And we've been growing ever since. In 2017, we actually became 100% ESOP owned company. So we're employee owned. So all of us are owners. Once you join the company, you do become an owner of the company. And if you look at that, it's one of those things that it adds a sense of pride to what we're doing, not only in the sales and design and the manufacturing and erection, but it's the whole process, the one that we take a lot of pride in. And we're looking forward to being out there. We chose the area. We have a lot of growth out there, which Steve will get into. But when you look at the location, it's very close to the interstate and gives us extreme easy access to where our future customers are going to be.
Excellent. Thank you. I was going to ask that question too, is what were the factors that made you decide to come out this way? And you just answered that. And if I recall correctly, you're planning to build out near the airport, the Pocatello Regional Airport. Is that right?
That is correct.
Great. And so that might also add another opportunity for anything that you need to get transported around. But you mentioned something very interesting to me. You have your own fleet of trucks?
Yes, we have about 70 semi-tractors that we will deliver the buildings to the job site. And if you get a chance, I would always recommend people go online and look at Morton Building Unload, because our unload process is very unique. We literally transform our semi-tractors into forklifts, and the drivers, who I think are some of the best in the world, literally unload a trailer full of goods with their rearview mirrors. It's an unbelievable talent, and our drivers, we think, are exceptional.
Wow, that's great. That's great to hear, and that might even lead to some of the labor that you're looking for. You're probably looking for more drivers for your vehicles as you expand. You're going to need to have more delivery folks. Is that right?
That is a correct statement. We are going to be hiring truck drivers for this region to be able to serve the needs that are primarily west of the Rockies.
Nice, very nice. Hey, and Steve, you talked a little bit about the expansion coming out this way, and you're very familiar with the region from Oregon, Washington, all the way down to here. Having that familiarity as you work with potential customers and all, you're probably going to do a lot of interfacing with our public, with our communities, and also with the company, representing both ends of that. What is the most challenging part of that you do or you get into?
That's a good question. There's quite a few challenges, obviously, with expanding out west. So I'm just going to add to what Kevin mentioned here. So one of the unique things with Morton is that we design, manufacture, ship, build, and warranty our product. So most people that have built anything, a garage or something like that, or a house, they have to hire subs and so forth, or architects and so forth, and things to come in to manufacture, to do all that work. That's all handled by Morton Buildings. Hence, by doing all of that, it requires a lot of manpower on all different levels. We currently have about 110 locations for Morton Buildings, but we only have 5 located in the West region. So going forward, the expansion is very critical. We currently have offices in Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, Western Colorado, and Montana. And I'm looking to expand substantially over the next few years. So that involves not only the hiring of salespeople, but construction personnel. We'll have new construction centers, so there'll be admin people all the way down the line. So that's probably the biggest challenge, is hiring enough people, because we are all aware of the shortage of people that are available to go to work currently in the United States.
Right. That and that you're exactly right. That's a challenge we continue to hear about too, particularly in the infrastructure construction industry. As we go forward in that, that's what employers are looking for, is people. But earlier on, before we started this, we talked a little bit about the potential for a job fair coming up. We're going to be helping host a job fair for Morton Buildings at our Department of Labor office on the 17th of May. And that's going to be a good opportunity for people to come by and ask questions more directly to the folks who are there and see what it's like to work at Morton Buildings. I would think, Kevin, that when you're an employee of a building, like you said, if you join Morton Buildings, you become an owner. That's a plus for anybody looking for a job. Are you seeing that now with people who are coming to you and saying, "If I'd like to work for you because I heard that I'm an owner in the company"? Is that a plus that you see?
Yeah, we are right now coming out of the infancy of becoming an employee-owned company. So the benefits are starting to become more pronounced and tangible, that the employees can see. It's a journey. It's not something where you can turn that on instantly, but there are so many advantages that everyone is looking from, every level of the organization, treating and looking at everything as an owner, and that different mindset, I think, really causes us to be a real special entity as we go forward.
Yes, I agree. I think so too. So that's an area we want to make sure we highlight to any prospective candidates for coming to that job fair, or if anybody's listening to this podcast, the same thing. You ought to look into this and find out. So again, I want to reiterate our job fair out here that's going to be supported by Idaho State University at the Department of Labor office on Yellowstone Avenue is on May 17th. There's another gentleman that we've been talking to who has provided some job descriptions, some postings that we can use. But do you have a feel, Kevin or Steve, when you start a plant, how do you start to populate the workforce in that plant? Does everybody show up on day one? Does a plant get phased in? How does that process work?
Well, right now, if you go out to the airport, you'll see the construction beginning on the new building that we're putting in. And we anticipate that in the month of May, you'll start to see some columns go up and some trusses go up. And hopefully the progress will continue there on for the next 3 to 4 months. But in that process, we will start bringing out equipment to the facility and set it in place. We will begin to hire some people and we'll send them to other plants to be trained. We're not going to bring everybody in at once. It's going to be a gradual process. We're going to need supervisors. We're going to need operators. And as we go through the process of identifying the different pieces of equipment that are going to be used there, then we're going to have to, make sure that the individuals using that equipment are fully trained and are going to be able to make a good, high quality product.
That's very interesting. So you're going to do your own training. You're looking for people. When you said operators, some kind of machinery that you're have in the plant. So you'll do the training on that, or you may even send them to other plants that have that equipment. So they'll get trained on that, and then they'll be able to come back and participate as part of the Pocatello team. Do I understand that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, one of the cool things here at Idaho State University is we recently partnered with Pacific Regional OSHA. And so we have a memorandum of agreement of working with them. So there'll be some really good opportunities for safety training for not just for other employees here that are existing, but also for new companies that come in. And we'll be real excited to make any connections with you on that as well. And that'll be very, very helpful. Do you have a sense for how many employees you might be looking for at the May 17th event? That'll be one of the early phases of bringing your plant in.
At the May 17th event, we'll probably be looking for around 10 to 12 employees. I think that when everything is said and done, we'll be anywhere between 20 to 30 employees overall. But with the initial group will be approximately about 10 employees.
Excellent. That seems like a good phasing in. And certainly truck drivers are a big part of that. For anybody who's out there listening, if you have any kind of truck driving experience, this might be a good opportunity for you to explore. I did take a look at your website before we joined here today. And it's a very good website, mortonbuildings.com. But there's an interesting thing that I did not realize, because when I think of Morton Buildings and what you do, I kept thinking of storage sheds, and you mentioned that earlier on. But you also get into office buildings, you get into homes, you get into churches. You help develop all of those as well. Is that new, or is that what you've always been doing?
Steve?
Sure. No, we have a pretty diverse background. We started obviously in the pole barn industry, but we've branched out from there. And ironically, Morton is going to be manufacturing this manufacturing facility as well with our own crews. So we're going to bring out our construction crews. They've built these kind of structures in the past. This one's pretty substantial in size. I believe it's 150 feet across and around 500 feet long. So it's a larger than your typical pole barn structure, but it's a good representation of the kind of buildings that we can construct. And we've built wind farm operations buildings, as you mentioned, churches, schools. We build EMS facilities, restaurants, pretty diverse mix. Basically, that's anything a low-rise structure, less than 2 stories. Pretty good chance we can build it.
Wow. What's the most unique structure you've ever built?
Boy, that's a good question. Kevin, you may know more about that than I would, but I would say one of the ones that's on our website that would be a good one as representation of that is the truck center building. And that is a huge facility for servicing semi trucks and tractors.
I would agree.
Right.
That was a big challenge, and when you look at it when it was completed, that was definitely something to be proud of, what our employees were able to accomplish.
Yeah,
and
I
where
saw
is
the
that
pictures of
located?
Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
Do you happen to know on that, Kevin? I can't.
It's near South Bend, Indiana.
Okay, so it's Indiana. Okay, all right, excellent.
Yeah, the website
excellent.
has a
And it's
picture
on
of
your
that.
website.
Yes.
Okay,
It is.
Yeah, it looks amazing on the website. It's a huge facility, and I'm just amazed that you can move from interlocking fences, and now you're doing this. What a terrific expansion for a company. And not only that, for me, it's in a field that is very service oriented to our communities. It helps us grow. You know, it's in the industry for construction and development, and everybody needs that. I mean, that's the soil for everything else. If we can't put a building on the ground and help establish a church or a kindergarten or a school of any kind, you know, where it's hard to get past that and get to the office buildings and other things. So I think this is fascinating. I think you have a wonderful, wonderful organization that's offering great service across our region. Paul.
Yeah. So the question I have is, so on sales, is the new facility building, will they be doing sales there, or is sales something that you do strictly online? How do you sell your product?
We sell our product. We basically have sales consultants located in specific geographic areas. And then we locate, based on the success of that area, then we'll build a construction center there. And what that basically is, it's an office and warehouse facility where we can store materials, keep the crew trucks and so forth. The actual sales are done just as you would be going out and selling any type of real estate product. So we have the person on site, they may get the lead or phone call or whatever from a potential client. the sales consultant will go out and meet with that person, inspect the job site, inspect what they're looking for, and then we will design the product based on what their requirements are and what they would desire. We'll obviously steer them in the right direction based on what we know how to do, which is build structures, and give them the guidance on that. The ability to have in-house architecture with Morton Buildings and also saves them on the cost or headaches of having to go out and find somebody to do that for them.
Yeah, that you bring up a good point, because sometimes someone might think they know what they need, but you guys have been doing this for so long that you probably have a lot of good advice for them as well.
Correct. Yeah, we can make really good suggestions about what they may be considering. Well, we want to do a small garage storage unit, and then after we discuss that with them, we can tailor that and make recommendations what we feel would be better suited for that application.
How neat. Hey, I know we're getting close to the end of the 20-minute mark, and I want to make sure that anybody who wants to get more information on Morton Buildings knows what they can do, whether that's to come to a website or call Steve or Kevin. How would somebody with a question reach out to Morton Buildings to find out more information?
Yeah, so one of the good ways to go about that is through the website itself. There is a customer request form on there. So if you're looking at the website and you say, hey, I'd like to find out more information, you can fill out the application online. That'll go directly into our queue, and you'll be followed up with pretty quickly by somebody that will get in touch with you to find out what your needs are, what your requirements are, and so forth. And the same thing with employment opportunities. There's also a link for those as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, if you didn't hear it, the timer went off. We reached 20 minutes. That went by pretty fast. And we want to go ahead and wrap this up right now. Our guests today have been our Kevin Young, Vice President of Operations, or Chief of Operations at Morton Buildings, and Steve Aubin, Regional Sales Manager. This is a plant that's coming out to Pocatello. There'll be a job fair on May 17th. Really good information about you all. Thank you for sharing about Morton Buildings. I look forward to seeing the plant get developed out here. I'll probably be visiting several times because I want to watch that unload process as well. They're bringing a lot of good capability to our region, and we'll be seeing anybody who's interested at the job fair. I look forward to seeing you there and asking questions. This is going to be another tremendous difference maker in our community. So thank you both for joining us today. We're happy to have you. Paul, you want to say anything else about closing us out for Sweet Talk?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to contact us, they can reach us by visiting the website at cetrain.isu.edu, or they can email us at cetrain@isu.edu, or they can call us the old-fashioned way at 208-282-3372. And remember, if you like this podcast, subscribe, like, share. And thank you again to Steve and Kevin for joining us. It's really been informative, gentlemen. I'm going to go visit that website and watch that unload video right now.
We appreciate it very much. Thank you for the opportunity.